What if one person could change the way we see celebrity gossip forever? Let's talk about Perez Hilton. Hey everyone, I'm Leah, feeling super curious today.
And I'm Garrett, ready to dive into this wild topic. Welcome to Laid Back Learning with Leah and Garrett.
Today we're exploring the fascinating world of Perez Hilton, the man who became a celebrity by talking about celebrities.
I remember stumbling on his blog back in college. Those doodles on paparazzi shots were everywhere. Hearts, arrows, snarky captions. It felt like he was breaking the internet before that was even a phrase people used.
Let's open the book on this. Quick foundation. Blogging is just publishing posts on a website, usually commentary plus links. Celebrity gossip is news and rumors about famous people's private or semi-private lives. Perez Hilton, born Mario Armando Lavandera Jr. in Miami to Cuban parents, built a site that became one of the most recognizable hubs for that kind of chatter in the mid-2000s.
And his visual hook was simple but loud. He'd take paparazzi photos, which are candid shots taken by photographers who chase celebs, and then he'd draw on them. The doodles turned the images into commentary. He'd claim fair use, meaning a legal allowance to use copyrighted material for things like criticism or parody if it's sufficiently transformed. Whether it actually was fair use often got tested later, but in the moment, man, it grabbed attention.
He caught fire fast. In 2005, within months of launch, his site was labeled Hollywood's most hated website by The Insider. That, ironically, became fuel. He posted quickly, wrote bluntly, and made himself part of the story with a section called Personally Perez, where he'd share photos with stars. It blurred the line between observer and participant. He wasn't just covering celebrity culture, he was orbiting inside it.
Right away, the legal stuff started piling up. In 2005, attorneys for actor Colin Farrell sued after Perez posted a link to Farrell's sex tape with Nicole Narine. Then, photo agencies like X7 Online hit him with lawsuits in 2006 for posting their paparazzi pics. His defense leaned on those doodles and commentary as transformation, but the agencies argued it hurt the value of their exclusives. It was the traffic gold rush versus licensing economics, head-to-head.
Ethics collided with exposure too. He was criticized for outing, meaning revealing someone's sexual orientation without their consent. In 2006, after years of speculation on various sites, Lance Bass from NSYNC came out, and Perez was blamed by some for pressure. Later that year, Neil Patrick Harris publicly came out after speculation that included Perez's posts. The question underneath was complicated. Does visibility help, or does public pressure cause harm? Real talk, that one sits heavy.
And the speed trap of being first led to a huge blunder. In 2007, he falsely reported that Fidel Castro had died, saying official confirmation was coming. It didn't, and he called it his one regret later. That same year, he bragged about a monster traffic day, about 8.8 million page views in 24 hours. Others disputed that figure. Also, his web host dropped him because of legal risk. He moved and kept poking the bear.
The legal trenches got deeper in 2007. A consortium of photo agencies sued him for multiple infringements. Universal Studios sued over a topless still of Jennifer Aniston, allegedly from unreleased footage of the breakup. Around the same time, Zomba, part of Sony BMG, sued over leaked Britney Spears posted on his site. Defamation showed up too. Defamation means a false statement presented as fact that harms reputation. DJ Samantha Ronson sued over a post linking her to drugs and a staged photo op with Lindsay Lohan. That case took twists, and a judge ultimately awarded Perez money in the litigation arc, which surprised people. It was messy and super public.
The pop culture confrontations were next level. In 2009, at the Much Music Video Awards, there was a late-night confrontation tied to the Black Eyed Peas. will.i.am, the group's frontman, was there, and Perez used an anti-gay slur during the back and forth. He later said he'd been hit. The group's operations manager, Polo Molina, was detained in Toronto, while will.i.am said a fan threw the punch. GLAAD, the LGBTQ media advocacy organization, urged Perez to apologize. He eventually apologized to the community and said he'd donate lawsuit proceeds to the Matthew Shepard Foundation, which declined to accept the money because of the context. That sequence showed how outrage can boomerang.
And that year also had the Miss USA flashpoint. Perez, serving as a judge, asked Carrie Prejean, who was Miss California, about same-sex marriage. He later said she lost because of her answer. People still debate that. Some say it was her tone and overall performance. Regardless, the exchange kicked a pageant into a national culture war moment. Then came another risky instant reaction post. When Michael Jackson had his cardiac arrest, Perez suggested it was a publicity stunt. After Jackson's death was confirmed, the post was deleted and replaced with a link to TMZ. Fast Twitch commentary came with very real consequences.
In 2010, he posted a video saying he'd do things differently, apologizing for bullying and announcing a tone pivot. He launched spin-off sites, Coco Perez for fashion, Fit Perez for fitness, Teddy Hilton for animal stories. He joined Dan Savage's It Gets Better project, which shares messages to LGBTQ youth. Some celebs, like Khloe Kardashian, called out a disconnect between the new message and past behavior. That gap became its own storyline. Pivoting is hard when your brand is built on provocation.
He also had high-profile feuds. With Lady Gaga, the pop star, their relationship soured around 2013. Gaga later claimed he sent her a wheelchair image labeled Karma after she had to cancel her tour due to a hip injury, and also an image of Madonna pointing a gun. Then a Twitter user spotted him in Gaga's New York apartment building, and she accused him of stalking. He denied that, saying he was apartment hunting after his son's birth. No legal findings settled it, and it lived as a very public he said, she said.
He courted controversy with Miley Cyrus, too. In 2010, he linked to an upskirt photo of the then 17-year-old, and people raised child pornography concerns. The linked site removed the image. He said she was wearing underwear and posted a different image as proof. Either way, it showed how fast a boundary can get crossed in the scramble to post. That moment fueled a long-running feud with her fans.
Meanwhile, he kept expanding his media presence. He had a syndicated radio show called Radio Perez. He co-hosted the MTV Europe Music Awards in 2008 and even accepted Rick Astley's trophy when the singer didn't attend. He popped up on Nickelodeon's Victorious as himself. He stepped onto the New York stage in Musical the Musical, playing, well, himself, and later played Danny Tanner, the Bob Saget sitcom dad character, in an off-Broadway parody called Full House. The musical. He was no longer just a blogger. He'd become part of the pop machine he covered.
On the personal side, he had 3 kids via surrogacy, which is when another person carries a pregnancy for intended parents, a son in 2013, then daughters in 2015 and 2017. He talked about parenting in public and what that visibility might mean for his kids. At the same time, the industry around him changed. By 2014, his site's Alexa rank, which was a rough web traffic estimate, was sliding a bit. Social platforms were becoming the front page. He launched 2 YouTube channels to keep that real-time commentary going when other networks tightened their rules.
He also acted as a tastemaker. His Listen to This posts boosted emerging musicians, and Mika's North American breakthrough has been partly attributed to that support. It's like an early version of playlist power. One mention to a big audience could nudge an artist's trajectory. That influence also cut the other way. He had favorites and so-called vendettas. Fans noticed Perez Hilton, the socialite who inspired his stage name, often got gentler coverage, while people like Vanessa Hudgens or Taylor Momsen might get harsher critiques. Access can shape tone, whether you want it to or not.
Platform governance became a major factor later. In 2020, he was permanently banned from TikTok after building an audience of about 1.6 million followers. He posted a crying video and asked Charli D'Amelio, a TikTok star, for help getting reinstated. That flipped the script, an early internet figure appealing to a Gen Z powerhouse on her home turf. Then, in 2026, he live-streamed self-harm and suicidal threats on TikTok. Police responded and later transported him to a hospital under Florida's Baker Act, which allows an involuntary short-term hold when someone may be a danger to themselves or others because of mental illness. TikTok suspended the account. It was a serious human moment that eclipsed the usual chatter about content policies.
So where does that leave his legacy? He helped accelerate a 24/7 gossip economy that more traditional outlets later mirrored. He demonstrated that a single personality could become a brand. He also showed the long tail of controversy: legal bills, advertiser caution, and platform bans. He tried to pivot to a softer tone, diversified with spin-offs, went on stage and on air, but the earlier choices never fully stopped echoing. Here's something to get us started for the big unresolved question. Did his site really hit 8.82 million page views in one day back in 2007, or was that an exaggeration? I actually think it's possible. The site had that most hated label, which weirdly drives clicks. There were lawsuits making headlines, people were refreshing constantly, servers crashed. In that era, virality behaved like a flash flood. So yeah, I could see one day spiking into the stratosphere, even if it wasn't sustained.
I'm the skeptic on this one. Without independent analytics, like third-party verified numbers, it's hard to trust a single self-reported peak. There's also an incentive problem. Bigger numbers mean better ad rates. If you tell brands you pulled the web equivalent of a stadium crowd times 100, that sounds great in a pitch deck. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm saying we don't have clean proof it happened at that scale.
Why would that claim matter so much beyond bragging rights?
Because money follows metrics. Advertisers often buy on CPM, which is cost per thousand impressions. If you say you can deliver huge reach, you can charge a premium. But if those numbers are inflated or not independently verified, buyers might overpay, then pull back when performance doesn't match. It also shapes a creator's reputation. If you're known for stretching the truth on traffic, people generally question your other claims. That said, the mid-2000s were the Wild West. Even big outlets were still figuring out measurement.
I hear you. At the same time, the energy around his site was very real. News shows were name-checking him. Rivals watched his posts to set their own coverage. Audience behavior then was a lot of manual refreshes, not just algorithmic feeds. So he could have had an unrealistic single-day surge. Whether it was exactly that number or not, the point stands that the buzz fed the business model.
That's a solid point. Even if the number's fuzzy, the notoriety translated into leverage. And it also taught brands to start asking for better audits, which helped professionalize the space. So the claim, true or not, nudged the industry forward on verification.
Pop culture footprint, quick hits. He showed up in big music videos, from Rihanna's S&M to other pop cameos, playing the loud internet persona. He co-hosted the MTV Europe Music Awards, a mainstream broadcast spotlight, and he famously accepted Rick Astley's award when Rick didn't show. That kind of crossover, from blogger to onstage figure, is a sign of how much his brand saturated the broader culture.
All right, counterfactual time. What if he had never posted altered paparazzi photos? If those doodles weren't a thing, I think the legal temperature of early gossip blogging would have been cooler. Fewer immediate lawsuits, but also maybe less traffic because the images were the hook. Without that hook, tabloids and TV shows might have kept their edge longer, and blogs would have stayed more commentary than scoop machines.
I'm with you that it changes the rise. The doodles were like neon signs saying, "Look here, we're adding commentary." Without them, influencer culture might have developed more slowly. By influencer culture, I mean personality-driven media where a person, not a publication, becomes the brand. Maybe music discovery shifts too. If he's posting fewer eye-catching items, perhaps his listen to this picks, like Mika, don't convert as many listeners, and labels keep more control.
And fair use boundaries might have evolved differently. Courts and agencies were reacting to that era's remixing of photos. If no one's drawing hearts and arrows on an exclusive image, maybe there are fewer test cases and the limits stay fuzzier for longer. Also, privacy norms. If aggressive image reposting cools down early, maybe the culture has a little more restraint around personal shots and minors, which could have spared us a few ugly incidents down the line.
And audience habits might look different too. Instead of hitting a single personality site for instant takes, people might have stayed with weekly magazines a bit longer, or gravitated sooner to platform feeds where the algorithm chooses for you. The doodle era basically taught readers to expect instant editorialized visuals. Take that away, and maybe we all scroll a little slower today. Thanks for joining us on Laid Back Learning with Leah and Garrett. Stay curious, and we'll catch you next time.
Yeah, that ties it up nicely.